TJ the Wheel Joe coming at you live. It is Sunday, fun day. August the 23rd, 10:05 a.m. Central Time, Texas time. And we're going to get into it today, man. We're going to get into it today. I'm going to give you guys a behind the scenes look. A behind the scenes look. I'm sorry, I'm fiddling with my phone to make sure that I'm on the right stuff, showing y'all the right stuff. That way I can see the comments as well, because when I go full screen, I'm not able to see the comments. Those are the gimmies and the gotchas. I'm a lot more organized now. I got my laptop over here, so I'm going to be able to go live more often, I think, because I can still see what's going on with the portfolio while I'm doing the spreadsheet stuff. And I have the portfolio on privacy mode over here. I don't have to be on privacy mode over there. That way I can like really see the numbers, looking at the net lick and all the other stuff that I'm not able to show here because you have to, it shows account numbers and whatnot. Anyway, guys, we're back from Turks and Caicos. We're over there for 5-6 days. It was good. It's really refreshing. The ocean is just absolutely amazing. We love going to the Caribbean, whatever you want to call it. We love going. I feel like it is just absolutely. Let me make sure my volume's working now. Okay, perfect. We're good. It is just a real nice change of pace, being on island time. Everything's a lot more tranquil. Everything's a lot more slower paced. And you realize there's a lot more to life than just staring at screens and how are the options doing and all that stuff. But I don't really ever unplug. I'm just not able to. I'm just not able to. I love what I do. It feels like it's not even work. It feels like it's not even work to me. So it's not hard for me to take, a few minutes out of my day while we're on vacation, place the trades that I need, etc. I like to I just like to be wired in, man. I like to be wired in, and my wife doesn't even mind it. She was like, if you didn't do that, like you wouldn't be you. It's who she fell in love with, somebody who was really, really passionate about their career and what they do, and I think she was also around it with her dad, because her dad's extremely passionate about his practice, his law practice, and they're just we're wired in. We're built different, we're built different. Anyway, how are you guys, man? How are you guys? Manish, what's going on, my man? We kept in touch the whole time I was on vacation. Manish is really, really key for me with the channel and on a personal level. It really helps me a lot with the technicals and kind of what's going on with the market. He's extremely plugged in as well. So it's somebody that I rely on, somebody like Graciela I rely on, Angel. There's a handful of you guys that I rely on. And then obviously Alex keeps the channel going by doing all the clips and whatnot to try to keep us relevant in the algorithm whenever we're not able to go live. But I want to do something a little bit different. It's something that I've been building up for about 4 years now, and it's kind of like doing a Wheeler's Academy live, if you will. Not just in person, but just like every day. So I think that I'm going to have a special tier. I'm just not sure where I'm able to do it. If I'm able to do it on X, and then maybe add a special tier on YouTube as well. It'll be more expensive though. It'll probably be in the $150 range. So this isn't going to be for everyone. But it's me basically going live 4 to 6 hours a day. I'll still do the public lives and all that stuff. That's not going to change. I try to go about 2 to 3 hours a week live for the public, but just kind of like to where I'm like plugged in all the time. I'm managing all 11 accounts and I'm just doing it live all day, every day, which is what I do. And then it effectively, if for those people, it'll be you can hop on with me on the FaceTime and we can go through your situation as well. Because I don't want to expect more than 10, 20 people max that would be part of that particular tier. And I kind of know who you guys are, the people that are like really plugged in all the time. So it's something that I and eventually if I could get enough membership, on that, maybe over 30, 40, 50, then I would just stop doing lives altogether for the public. And I would really want to just focus on helping those 40, 50 people become millionaires and multi millionaires in the stock market, because that's my passion. It's like, okay, what's the point of making all this money if you can't take people with you or show other people to do it? Because who are you going to go on vacation with? We're lonely. We're bored all the time. I can't ever find somebody to go play golf with me, if that makes sense, right? So that is why I like doing what I do and trying to put as much alpha as I can out there, because I want to help a lot of people win. Because if I help a lot of y'all win, then I got somebody to hang out with. Because we're kind of at the point to where we don't have to, we can be on vacation a lot. We're at that level to where we can really enjoy life. But there's not that many people that are able to do that, and it's not even financial most of the time. It's because they got kids, right? They got rugrats running around, so they can't just, hey, we're not going to go to school this week, because there's like things you're trying to teach these kids, right? And I get it, But yeah, the vacation was good, man. The vacation was good. Everything was good. So I'm gonna be here, man. I'm gonna be here. We're gonna keep growing this channel. I'm gonna keep here. I'm. I feel like I'm the guy that has done some pretty good things in the market, but I'm like your everyday guy, the shorts, the flip flops guy, and I'm accessible. So I have like two moats on this channel. One is transparency, and the other one is accessibility. Because there's a lot of people that do very well in the market, but they're not accessible. And they're certainly not going to show you their trades. They're hiding behind a bunch of anonymity and paywalls and all this other shit that they make up in their mind, because they're like celebrities in their mind, right? They're like, oh, I gotta maintain a status quo. I'm like the fucking Kardashians or whatever. I'm not that guy. Like, I could be amongst the people. Yeah, I could be amongst the people. We're cool, man. We're cool. We're all created equal under the eyes of the Lord. So that's just the way that I roll. So I wanted to have a channel that was like fully transparent. And on top of that, it was all about accessibility and wheelers, right? It's like live Q&A. Like, bring your questions and I'll answer them for you. You don't have to pay me for that. You don't have to make a special appointment for that. Like, if I'm available, I'll do it. How long did it take me? How long would it really take me to do that? I mean, it's kind of easy to do in the larger scheme of things. Anyway, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. So let's see what's going on with the portfolio. And I'm going to walk y'all through some really difficult decisions that I might potentially have to make. So let me just fast forward here. Okay, we're showing the right stuff. And I'm going to stay over here for a bit. I could toggle and I could go over the live deck and all that, because, Claude does a bunch of cool stuff for us. But we're going to have to like stay right here. So you're going to have to bear with me on the view. This is as large as I can get it. We're on 120%. You go over here, you do general, and you go over here and you're 120%. That's it. I could do the light mode. That's an option. Y'all can let me know. Do you prefer the light mode or do you prefer the dark mode? Because these are the only two options that we have when we're on the desktop. Now, if I go over to the website, I can zoom in a little bit more. So right here, I'm on light mode. Let me know if that works for you guys. If y'all want to go back to dark mode, just give me one or two comments and let me know, because I like looking at the screen on dark mode personally. But I don't know what's easier for you guys visually. I don't know if y'all are watching on the TV. I don't know if you're watching on your phone, on your tablet, whatever the case may be. So anyway, but if nobody comments on that, then I'm just going to go back to dark mode, because that's just what I like to see. So there's one light mode. Okay, we'll leave it here unless I get more people that say dark mode. So what are the things that I look at? Profit and loss for the day. I don't know how they come up with that stuff. The market's closed. So I don't know if they're just like baking in some data into the cake and it just shows up there. I have no idea. It's just totally freaking random. It's totally random. So I got two lights. We're going to stay right here for now. Profit and loss year to date. You guys been rocking with me for a while. Y'all know that this thing was like negative 6 million plus at some point. It's just reality. We've had some really, really big draw. We had a really, really big drawdown this year. And it's nothing that was really the market's fault. It was me. I was experimenting, trying to do some things with some strangles, and I was playing way too big. The sizing was just not right, and I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar in a really big way. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me regroup. Let me recalibrate. I'm gonna be able to manufacture the win. I'm TJ the Will Joe. My confidence never really came into question. I was like, okay, cool. I dug this hole. It's gonna be fun digging out of it. I'll do it live and in color for all of y'all to see. Name my first rodeo. It's all good. And here we are, and we're on the climb back. But I did learn something very, very valuable about myself along the way. I have to own shares. I have to own shares. It's how I'm wired. It's how I'm wired. So whenever I sell a put on a stock and I don't want to own it, I'm just there for the cash grab for the premium. I say it's a premium cash grab, and I'll label it accordingly. And I'm going to show you how to do all of those things on here as well. Like we're going to do like a in depth behind the scenes. Got nothing to do. The wife's still in bed with the dogs until she starts honey doing me. We're going to be able to do this thing. So we're not going to be going real fast today, if that's okay. I assume if you're watching me right now, you ain't got shit to do either, right? I've already done my 1 minute with God. We ain't going to church. I'm going to turn on something evangelical here, kind of get my word in that way, my daily bread. We're good. We're good. So I look at profit loss year to date. That's something that I like to flip green. That's like the first order of operation. The other thing that I look at is the balance. And y'all see that the cash is pretty light right now, 467. That's like a million light. So we're gonna have to raise some cash. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is as I go through these positions, is I'm going to have to see where I can raise cash to beef up the cash balance, because that is going to create the optionality that I might need to go fix other positions or add shares if I'm running light on deltas or something like that. So I'm going to kind of give y'all like a Wheeler's class along the way on metrics that I look at, like not just keeping the plane in the air. It's like you got to land it, you got to learn what your rudders are, all this other shit if you're a pilot, right? Your landing gear, all that stuff. So we kind of know what these metrics mean, what these gauges mean. That way we know what the portfolio needs. Hopefully that makes sense. So got options buying power, stock buying power, our delta, the beta weighted delta is 65,000, and that's beta weighted to the SPY, I believe. The data, that's just how much money is coming off the clock on a daily basis. Then we got the Vega. It's how sensitive we are to changes in implied volatility. So it hurts us. A volatility expansion really, really hurts us because we got a shitload of contracts out there. And then we got the overall extrinsic value. What is that? How much are the options worth right now? How much are the open options worth? That's the extrinsic value. The buying power usage percentage is a very, very important metric. It's your oxygen. That's like, you ever playing those fighting games or whatever as a kid, and you see the levels, the power levels, you get to the red, boom, you die, right? So you don't want to be over 60% on that thing, because any volatility expansion, boof, you're going to be on a margin call. So we're kind of like right there. We're right there. We're comfortable, but we're not that comfortable. In the 30s and the 40s, you're chilling. You're chilling. You can handle a black swan event maybe twice, and then you just got to make a couple of small adjustments, and you're good because you're not playing too big. And just on the buying power usage, just real quick, the VIX is high, you can play bigger because the VIX will typically contract. It won't stay high too long. What's a high VIX? Like over 30. I consider that a pretty high VIX. Right now, we're like in the teens. So you want to play smaller when the VIX is smaller, because the chances of a contraction are a lot higher. When the VIX is high already, then you can play bigger because now you can capitalize off of a volatility contraction. And as premium sellers, that's what you want. You want a high VIX. You can put out a bunch of contracts and flat price action. VIX comes down, you're printing money. Profit and loss open, that just means that the stuff that we got on is working, but it still hasn't worked enough to offset the year to date. And we're going to talk about how we got in this hole as well, right? Like, because this was, I always say we all push our own buttons and we all live with those results. That's fair. How many of y'all heard me say that? Say, I've heard you say that. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to show y'all the fucking stupid buttons that I've pushed. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, right? That's the reality of it. So again, this is the kind of transparency that you get on this channel. Why do you get that kind of transparency? Because I don't have any reputation to uphold. I don't have any kind of credibility that I'm trying to protect. I'm not trying to like protect the brand. You either rock with TJ the Will Do or you don't. I really don't give a shit. My life's good, man. My life's good. Will you rock with me or you don't rock with me? My life's good. I'm just here trying to help you. I'm trying to document everything because I think at some point my son will take over what I do. And I'm just trying to give him the roadmap. So you're just a beneficiary of that. But this channel is not for you. It's for him. You guys are just beneficiaries of that, if that makes sense. So we're going to start one at a time. I think that's just the easiest way to do it. I always like to put this on D to E on what's expiring chronologically. So we're going to start with CleanSpark. And this is going to be a good one because it's going to lead me to the first difficult decision that might have to happen. And it's all based on the cash balance. The cash balance is too low. It doesn't give me a lot of maneuverability, man. It's like things have to work for us. If things go work against us, well, cash is kind of like your oxygen, right? It's not everything in life, but it's kind of up there with oxygen because when you don't have a lot of it, it feels like that's the only thing that you can fixate on. It's what you're focused on because you're lacking it. It's like oxygen. Same thing and we're in the money business, right? So you need money. So I'm trying to do things in my mind right now when the music has stopped, and right now on the weekend, the music has stopped. Yeah, the futures, Hyperliquid, all this other shit, all the junkies, they'll find something to trade. They're always looking for ways to blow up their account. They don't know how to just relax and collect theta, But for us, they know how to relax and just let theta do its thing. This is the time when you look at your portfolio and you look at it and you slow down and you really look at it and you're like, okay, what can I do to make sure that we're ultimately positioned to win? Because getting profit and loss year to date, it's whatever. That's going to happen or it's not going to happen. But it's about positioning the portfolio for the long haul. And I'm glad that I went through this drawdown because I've been wrestling with this for like 5 years to own shares, to not own shares, to own shares, to not own shares. It's capital efficient. It's not capital efficient. And I've been flip-flopping like a politician because I couldn't really decide. Now I'm 100% decided. The vote has cast and I can't change it. I don't think that owning shares is capital efficient in comparison to just playing the Delta game with options. Except shares don't expire and it's something that you can walk away from. The portfolio can still grow. Whenever you're just going to do options only, congratulations, you've got yourself a badass job. But that's not really what I want. I want to sell options ultimately as my side hustle to fund my business, which is stacking shares, stacking sats, if you will, right? We're talking about crypto, but here we're talking about stacking shares. So I sell, put, sell, cost, collect, premium, roll when it makes dollars and cents because I ultimately want to lower the adjusted cost basis to zero. I'm very clear on the objective now. I'm very clear, very, very clear on the objective now. It is to lower the adjusted cost basis to zero. It all comes down to credits and debits on the balance sheet. I want to have more credits than debits with each particular ticker so that I can say, hey, we own X amount of shares with other people's money. That is the goal. So I'm crystal clear on it. I deviated, got my ass kicked, got the receipts, got the t-shirt, if you will. So now we're back on track. So CleanSpark, this is one that we just started owning shares on. We just started owning shares on. So I'm going to go through this one here, and we're going to look at the options chain. So the options chain has been pretty good, right? We're up $114,000 across the board. And here it tells you when we started messing with it. On August the 8th, if you look on the right-hand side, just follow the cursor. I'm trying to make it kind of big for you guys. So August the 8th, July the 21st, we sold 1,000 puts. And it looks like we bought to close those. And then we sold them again, bought to close those, sold them again. At the end of the day, we closed everything out in September and we made $63,000. Whenever you see that little dot and it's filled in, that means that we're no longer in that trade. It's closed trade. When the circle's blank in the middle, that's an open trade. So it's pretty straightforward with Tasty Trade. If it's green, that means we made money. If it's red, that means that we lost money. So we made 63,000, we made 21,000, then we got our ass kicked for 53,000, got our ass kicked for another $400, then we made 15,000, 32,000, 12,000, and we're down 300. And you see how the circle's not closed yet because we're in that trade still. So we're down 300 over here, and we're up 25,000 over here. So collectively on all of the order chains, this is Wilt Tracker. Tasty Trade does it for you. We're up 114,000 on all those options. And then now we go over here and we look at the shares. We're up $7,500 on the shares. So collectively, we're up $76,000 on a year-to-date basis with CleanSpark. And we've got some covered calls that we sold, right? We got these shares are for sale at $14 26 days from now. We collected, the cost is what you collected in premium. If it's green, that means you collected. If it's red, that means you paid, right? So it's red here. Why? Because we paid $172,000 for the shares. We collected $7,350 for the premiums on the covered calls, and we're down $300 on that. And that's why you saw the $300 over here. That's what that is. That's the covered call. On the puts, we've got 500 puts, 516 days from now. We just sold these, I think, on Friday. And I brought in $147,000. Why? Because I needed to beef up that cash balance. That cash balance was in the $300,000 range. So I added $147,000 just by selling more puts on CleanSpark. And we already had this backstop trade over here as well, this premium cash grab at $9. So this one here is also a premium cash grab. So I'm going to see if I can figure out how to name this. So I think what you do is you right click, because this is a premium cash grab. So I think what you do here is you group positions. You go to group positions and it's going to say option there, and then I'm just going to label it premium cash grab, because that's what it is. There we go. So we got two premium cash grabs now. So what am I looking to do with CleanSpark? I got to go look at the capital efficiency. So the cap requirement is 183,000. So I'm able to bring in a lot of money through the door here. $187,000 on the premium cash grabs at $9. Another 147,000 on the premium cash grabs at 10. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about rolling the 9s to the 10s. So I'm thinking about rolling these guys to the 516-day cycle and trying to pick up an additional $420,000 in premiums. It's only going to reduce our buying power by $37,000. So that's not going to do much on the buying power, but that $420,000 could come in very, very handy, because that would now put us over here in the $800,000 range, almost $900,000 range. So now we're like, okay, now we got a little bit of firepower. Now we got a little bit of dry powder. It's kind of what the portfolio needs. So that is one thing that I'm definitely looking to do with CleanSpark. If I need to raise more cash, these 5,000 shares might become sacrificial lambs. There's a world where I might have to sell those shares off at $14 and be okay with that, because we need that extra $200,000 if things get dicey over here as we go through the program. Give me a thumbs up if y'all like me being this thorough. Give me a thumbs up if you like the way class is unfolding this morning. You're getting a lot more than me just running through this thing. Like, I'm really going through all the gimmies and gotchas, all the scenarios, why I have a trade on, why I might have to take it off, why I have shares, why I may not have shares. It's not because I don't believe in the company or anything of the sort. The thesis isn't broken. It's about, this is what my hamburger stand needs. This is what my hamburger stand might need. And at the end of the day, it's about the hamburger stand. It's not about any individual stock. It's about the business. The business is always more important as a whole than any stock is individually. This is the kind of shit that you're going to get over here. And I'm not like, oh, buy my subscription. Oh, do this. Oh, do that. I'm amazing. Follow me. Do that. I don't do any of that shit. I just show you how to, I just tune into class. Just tune into class. All these other people that I think they're that fucking great. How come you're not have the balls to trade live on YouTube? I'll wait. Oh, I'm the real deal. I got all these check marks. I got X, Y, and Z. Look at me. All these people are giving me all this money for a subscription. Cool. Why don't you trade live then? Because I do. That's what I do. That's ultimate transparency. It's trading live. It's one thing to post. It's one thing to post your trades and be like, oh, I'm transparent. No, you're fucking not, because you're showing it after the fact. How does that help anybody? How does that help anybody if all you're doing is showing a screenshot after the fact? Look at my year to date. It's up. Well, cool. How's your life to date look? Because you see our life to date's done pretty good, right? 13.5 already. We're going to get to 2025 by the end of the year. That's called a life to date. So life to date is going pretty well. Now, back to the scheduled program. I just got to shit on some of these people because they go on X and it pisses me off because everybody acts like somebody they're not. You're not that guy, dude. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to lie to people. I always tell my wife all the time when we got together, you don't have to lie to kick it. And now I tell her, you don't have to lie to kick it. We're already married. We're good. And just be honest with me. So that's what's going on with CleanSpark. Love the company. I believe that they're going to do some amazing things. But those 15,000 shares, they're not permanent yet. We'd like to get to 150,000 shares. Hell, maybe even 250,000 shares. But if I need to have money somewhere else on a higher conviction play that might be getting in trouble, I have to create my own ATM, right? I got to create my own ATM, and CleanSpark could potentially be that ATM. And at the end of the day, what's the objective? The objective is always to make money. If you're not clear on what that objective is for your portfolio, I'm going to give it to you. Your objective should be to make money. So I'm like, okay, does it really matter how I make money though? See, because I think y'all are making something that's already difficult and you're making it harder. Your objective just has to be simple, to make money. However it shakes out is however it shakes out. You're going to draw the play up one way, and then you call an audible, and, there's a blitz, whatever the case may be. It's football season. Thank God it's football season again. God, family, football. You got to ultimately figure out how to get the ball into the end zone, right? How are you going to make the cash? So anyway, SpaceX. This is one that is just working. It's just been working. I didn't think that it was going to work that quickly to this level. And in fact, when we got started, it didn't work that way. I think we were down 6 figures at one point. So what do we got going on with SpaceX? We got 17,500 shares. Our goal is 20,000 shares. So we still got a ways to go. And we got the shares for sale. We've got That's interesting the way that it shows it here. So I guess that's just the way that it. Why is that? It's so weird. Hold on. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, so I'm going to go chronologically here. I got the shares for sale, half of them for sale, or not even half, 7,500 shares for sale at 254 days from now. I've got another 7,500 shares for sale at $225. No, that's wrong here. Here we go. This makes sense. The cover calls. I got 7,500 shares for sale at 175. 26 days from now. I got paid 19,760. We're up 59% on those shares. It has a delta of negative 746. So let's go back to that real quick because I'm gonna have to tie this in. Let's go back to CleanSpark. The first metric that I look at when I look at every position is always my net position delta. So this is 63,000. So what does that mean? That this is basically, it's like effectively being long 63,816 shares of CleanSpark. So if CleanSpark goes up $1, we make 63 grand. That's what all that shakes out to. So on SpaceX, we got a position delta of $5,200 on 17,500 shares. So that delta is a little bit low. I want my delta to always be over 50% or 50% of the amount of shares owned. So we have 17,500 shares. A good rule of thumb for me is going to be about an 8,750 delta. I think that's what the math is. You divide it by 2. And we're low right now. We're at 5,275. So what does that tell me? Is that I'm being very aggressive with my covered call premium. So why would I do that? Why would I break that rule? Good question. Glad you asked. It's because I want to protect to the downside. I feel like right now there's a little bit more risk to the downside than to the upside. So I want to bring this premium in so I could protect against a drawdown on the 17,500 shares. So the way that it stands, we got 7,500 of those shares for sale at $26. I'm sorry, at $175, 26 days from now. We collected $19,760. There's $8,100 of meat on the bone. So if I no longer want those shares for sale, I want to remove that ladder. If I want to remove that rung from the ladder, remove that obligation, it's got to give back $8,100. And we pick up an additional 746 delta. Again, give me a thumbs up if you guys are learning something today. My idea here today, my goal here today is for you to leave this stream that was unscheduled. It's just improvised stream, right? Just extemporaneous. And I want you to be like, man, I feel better equipped today than I did before I logged on and spent an hour or two with TJ the Wheel Deal. I'm like, I feel like he gave me some game today. He gave me some knowledge. That's my goal. That's my goal is for you to log off today feeling, I think I'm a better wheeler today. I think I'm a better premium seller. I am more equipped because knowledge is power. Now, the application of that knowledge, that's where it gets fun. That's where it gets fun. So, what do we got going here? We got shares for sale 175, shares for sale 200, 225, 250, 275, all the way up over here at 300, 350, 350. And all the green, all the cost, that's all the premium that we've collected. So you notice everything here is just premium selling. So now we go to this real important number here, and that's the extrinsic value, $332,000. That's our protection of the downside, guys. That is our protection of the downside. SpaceX tanks over the next 390 days. we would have not just collected, because we already collected, we would have captured 332,000 in call premium. That 332,000 in call premium would be deducted from the 2.289 million that we paid for the shares. So that is our hedge to the downside. So every time I sell a successful covered call slash naked call, because some of these are covered, especially the 75s, that covers. That's 15,000 shares. So our first two rungs are covered at 175 and 200. Those are covered. Now, if it's below 175 in 26 days and we collect and capture that extra 8,100 bucks, that delta falls off the book. So that 4746 falls off the book. Now we're at a 6,000 delta. So we're a lot closer to the goal. A lot closer to the goal. And then if the 200-day falls off because SpaceX doesn't move that quickly, first off, 75 contracts come off the books. Another 7,500 comes off the books, but then now we pick up another 688 deltas. So if you pick up those 1,500 deltas right there, that kind of puts us to where we would like to be. So I feel real good about it. So let me go through some of these questions here. I can't wait for MSTR and BMNR. We're going to get there. Why is the delta on MSTR so high? We're going to get to that. My first experiment with covered calls on Intel could be grounds for a felony charge. Welcome to Will Dio OG Tracker. Tesla Wheelie, appreciate you. Online Active. Curious question, TJ. What you do if you get assigned on your out of the money strike on short naked calls? In that case, you're immediately on loss on your long share position. You're not going to get assigned on an out of the money call. I don't know if you need to rephrase that question, but let's just think about what he's saying. I feel like he or she is not communicating what they're really trying to communicate. So let me just go through this real quick. SpaceX is trading at $136. We have covered calls on at 175. So if they take those shares from us right now, they would be doing us such a solid. Because they would be giving us $175 a share on a stock that they could buy literally on the open market for 137. So you would have to be that special kind of stupid that my grandpa warned me about. The kind that you can't fix. That's stupid that you can't fix. It's like a unicorn. We've all heard of it. We all know what they look like, but nobody's ever seen it. So you wonder if they exist. So that would be that kind of person. You'd have to be really, really stupid to call my shares away at 175 when you can buy them on the open market for 136.95. You feel me? Do you follow me? Say I follow. Say I follow. And then I think he's got a follow-up question. Maybe he caught himself. And he's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe he was trying to say something else. So we're good here on SpaceX. Bottom line is we're good. We're more than good. And I'm going to keep selling calls over and over and over on SpaceX. Why? Because I'm using that cover call premium to lower our adjusted cost basis. So ultimately, we've got to collect 2.28 million. It's going to be probably like 2.5 million when we finish buying the extra 2,500 shares. Right now, we just don't really have the money for it. Why? Because we only got $467,000 to work with. Riot. Let me see if there's a follow-up. Here we go. What was the follow-up? For example, if you sell naked calls on SpaceX out of the money strike 175 and getting assigned, you lose on the long shares, right? No. They would pay us $175 a share. I would love for that to happen. We own them for, first of all, let's see, what do we own them for? We own them for 130. And we have them for sale at 175. but they're only trading for 136. I would love for somebody to buy those shares from us at 175 right now. Again, it would be that special kind of stupid. Maybe it's out there. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. So no, we would most definitely win because the shares are for sale at 175. Now, let's say that I had the shares for sale at 120. That's different because now those are in the money. We get assigned those shares at 120, and we don't own those shares. Let's just say that was naked. Let's just say I'm literally running naked. Here, we got to agree that these two rungs are not naked because they're covered by the shares. But let's pretend for a second that we do not own the shares and we're flat out selling naked calls. This is where you can really get in trouble. If you have an agreement to sell these shares at say 120 and they're currently going for 137, you could be on the hook for having to deliver shares that you do not own at 120, and you would have to make good on those shares. You would have to cover that short at 137. So now you would be losing $17 per share. Maybe that clears up what's going on there in your brain now. Anyway, I hope that helps you out. Riot, what's going on, Riot? We got 25,000 shares long and strong. We're excited, right? We got them at 1954. They're going for 1981. So we're up a little bit on the shares. You guys already been following the channel. You already know that I was getting my ass kicked as soon as we bought Riot. Shit tanked. And the reason I got excited about Riot is because they got another deal. They're making the pivot. I was a little bit leery, weary, nervous, apprehensive. All of those words are appropriate. When they made the pivot to HPC AI. Why? Because if Bitcoin goes up to $1 million a coin and they sold all of that Bitcoin at $60,000, $70,000 to fund this HPC AI compute, they might have just been better off staying the course and betting on Bitcoin. But what they did is they made a pivot, they transitioned to the next shiny object for guaranteed cash flow. So I hope that they stay a hybrid of sorts. I hope they continue to mine Bitcoin, and once they finish selling however much more Bitcoin they need to sell to fund the pivot, I hope that they continue to stack sats, even if it's just a hobby, because I think ultimately that hobby might end up being worth more than their pivot. But I understand why they did it. I just would hate to see Riot transition completely out of Bitcoin mining, because yes, it's not that profitable to mine Bitcoin right now because of how expensive it is to mine a Bitcoin, and I get all that. But if Bitcoin appreciates to $1 million a coin, boy, you're going to wish you had stuck that out. Because you only got to mine it once. Once you got it, you got it. It's it. It's in your ledger. It's in your wallet. It's in your balance sheet, right? So anyway, keep that in mind. So we got the shares for sale at $24. We picked up 18,500. We're down a little bit on that. Then we got some premium cash grabs at 18, 12, and 10. We collected, 50,000 collectively on the 18s and 12s, and then another 32,000. So we got some extrinsic value of about 100 grand, 99,650, because we're trying to use those monies to lower our adjusted cost basis on the 488,000 that we paid for the shares. So whenever you start a position pretty small with our bankroll, relatively speaking, the Riot position is pretty small, and you start with 25,000 shares, I could stack premium here, man. I could do 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 right here, and I could collect more premiums than what we paid for the shares. So when you put that kind of energy behind a position, mathematically, it's pretty simple how you can get your adjusted cost basis to zero on the shares if these trades work out for you. I mean, let's just take this one right here. If we loaded the boat at $12, we can agree, probably most of us can, that Riot's going to be above $12 145 days from now. We loaded that to 5,000 contracts. Just do the math. We collect probably as much as what we paid for the shares, and we'd be done. We'd be done in 145 days. We can have an adjusted cost basis of $0 on Riot on those 25,000 shares. You just keep doing that over and over and over again. Buy another 25,000 shares, do the same thing. Buy another 25,000 shares, do the same thing. A couple years after the campaign's over, you're sitting on 100,000 shares at a zero cost basis. And that's what we're trying to do in a nutshell. But I do have the shares for sale here. Why? Because I had to bring some premium through the door. And Riot hasn't been working out for us this year. Made a shitload of money last year and the year before, but this year we have not. We're down $4,000 year to date on Riot. So we got to remedy that. So I'm like, well, I could remedy it just by selling some covered calls. A, B, I have to potentially put the shares for sale legitimately on Riot. Why? Because our cash balance is not where I want it to be. And I have some bigger fish that I might need to fry. So we might need the firepower to do that. Enphase, this is another one I feel real good about. We got 35,000 shares of Enphase. We're down year to date, but I think we're going to remedy that. And we got the shares for sale at $50. Those are covered by the 35,000 shares. But then we got the shares for sale again at 55 and the shares for sale again at 60. So in a perfect world, it's just going to be below 50 26 days from now. It's going to fall off the books and we're going to not just collect, but capture the 41 grand. We could capture right now 27,000 of it. We can give 13,000 back and remove the obligation. We don't want to do that. We want to stay in it because that 13,000 will help out. Would ultimately help out. And then we got the shares for sale again at 55. We collected $56,000 on it. We could just walk away from the obligation right now by giving back 25,000 and locking in a $31,000 win. But he went on to do that. We're going to stay in it. And then on the 60s, 89 days from now, we got 79,000 up front. We could walk away with 33,000 in profit if we gave all this money back. But that's $84,000. We're not in a position to really give that back because that would put us at 380 or 390 on the balance sheet in cash. So we just can't do that. So we got to stay in the fire. SoFi. This one's exciting, but it's also very problematic. So now we're going to put our hat back. We're going to put our thinking cap on, right? We're going to put our thinking cap on because this one, first of all, it's been bred most of the year. Last year, made a couple $1 million with it. This year, we've been struggling to get in the green or in the black, they say in accounting, profitable. Now we're there, but it's like, okay, what can we do to stay there and what can we do to maximize the win? So we had 250,000 shares that were up 100 grand on effectively, right? 99,000. We bought the shares for 1856. They're currently going for 1896. So we're up 99,000 on that. That part's good. We go over here and we look at the delta as 183,000. So I said I want to be at like 50%. So 50% would be 125,000 deltas. We're at 183. So I already know the position's okay overall. It's okay. But just because it's okay doesn't mean that it's going to stay okay. I'm going to show y'all some scenarios here where things can get bad and ugly really, really quickly. And it's an expensive fix. It would literally suck up all the money that we have to work with, which is the 467, 420, 62. Because look at the numbers. This is a huge ass position. So whenever you have a huge ass position, it's going to take huge ass money to fix it. That's just the reality of it. So what's good about the position? Let's highlight what's good about the position. We have 2,500 short puts at 15. So that is a premium cash grab. So I need to group this position and I need to call it what it is. That's a premium cash grab. There we go. So that's a premium cash grab. This is a short strangle. This is a covered call. So we're going to start with it in order. We have the shares for sale at $20. So we paid $4.6 million for those shares. And we agreed to sell them. Let me get my calculator out. My cleaning lady. Calculator. Here we go. My calculator over here. Let's see if she'll get the hint. I'm going to leave it over here. She's going to come here again tomorrow, and let's see if it ends up over there. Anyway, so we have the shares for sale, 250,000 shares times 20. We have the shares for sale for $5 million, right? So it's right here. That's what it is. That's a metric I feel like Tasty could add. Like, tell me how much would I get, right? Instead of me having to do the math. So we bought the shares for 4.640. We got paid $120,000 for agreeing to sell those shares for $5 million. So effectively 5.120 mil. And then we have a short strangle, where we need, but at the end of the year, we need we need SoFi trading between 15 and 25 so that we could capture the $412,000 that they paid us for doing that. And then we have the in the distance premium cash grab, the 15, the one that I just labeled. So we got paid $636,000 for that. And I just put that one on 4 days ago. Put this one on when I was on vacation. Why? Because we needed that $636,000 because we used those monies to buy some MSTR, and we'll get to that. So what could hurt this position? A serious drawdown or a serious melt up? How? Because that delta, if it spikes up, it's going to go from 183 to 173, 63, 153, 143. It could go under 100,000 deltas. So now we're not capturing all of the upside move. And I'm okay with it. But ultimately, when I'm in these positions, the goal is actually to capture 70 to 75% of the move. And I say trending is one thing. I want to trend it about 50%. But ultimately, I want to stay in the fight long enough so that we could capture 70 to 75% of the move. So on 250,000 shares, I want to feel like I won on 200,000 of them. The other 50, they were like sacrificial lambs, if you will. So what can we do to fix this? Because the extrinsic value is 277,000. Well, the one thing that I could do is I could just take the roof off, right? I could take the ceiling off the trade. And I could just say, hey, here's your money back. I'm willing to lose $157,000 because I want to gain 109,000 deltas. Because in $1.25, $1.50, I'll get that money back. And now the shares are unencumbered until we get to the 25 strike. Because now this would no longer effectively be a short strangle. This would now turn into the covered call, and this one would fall off the books. So let's just see what would happen to the portfolio if I did that. So we're just going to run the simulation. And again, this is why I like doing this kind of stuff when the numbers aren't moving. You aren't feeling the pressure of the grind of the market and all that stuff. You're able to slow down. You're able to slow down, guys. I spent a lot more time looking at the portfolio during off market hours than during market hours. Because you can think more clearly. You're not under the gun. You're not under the gun. You don't have all that pressure to make a decision right now. We're just running a bunch of what if scenarios. So are we in a position to even do that right now? Let's see what it does to the buying power. We know that we have the cash to close it, but what does it do to the buying power? What does the risk monitoring algorithm think about that scenario for us? So we're going to give, say we did it right in the middle. They're like, we don't like it. You're going to give back $277,000, and we're going to reduce your buying power by 195 because you basically just went way more directional on SoFi. You went way more directional on SoFi. If SoFi goes back the other way, you could have rung the cash register on that covered call, but you chickened out. Okay, so that's not really an option because it's hurting us two ways. One, it's going to take up most of our cash. And two, it's going to put us in that 55, 56 percentile on the buying power usage. So it's kind of double whammy. So that one doesn't work. So what would be another option? Another option would potentially be to roll this out. Be like, okay, I've already got something at 117. So let me kick this can way down the road. I'll turn that $25 into our covered call that we're not down so much on. We're only down 19% on that. And let me kick this can down the road to this 481-day cycle, and I'll match it up with that premium cash grab over there. So I'll go here, I'll delete this leg, and I'm going to go find that 481-day cycle. And I'm like, how about we do something like that at 35? We can actually do that for a credit. So we can be like, SoFi may run, it may not run, it might go parabolic, but I feel a lot better about it potentially selling these shares at 35 or being obligated to sell them at 35 versus 20, because now we got $15 more of upside potentially on 250,000 shares. That's a lot of money. So now we go look at that and see what the algorithm thinks. Well, here's 201,000. So that's accretive to our balance sheet, right? So that's going to go over here. So now we're back in that $700,000 range. But it's going to reduce the buying power by only 78,000. So we're not, that's a rounding error over here. It's probably going to take us to 53, maybe 53.5%, if that. So we already know that that's a legitimate option. And now you're like, I don't have to mess with SoFi anymore. This now becomes a cash grab. Another thing that I could do potentially just eyeball. Again, this is where things come to you when you're in it. You're like, I love it at 15, but over here, it's only worth 74 cents. Over here, it's worth $2.47 a share. What if I rolled this cash grab to match the other cash grab and I could get a lot more money that way? Would that help me stay in the fight? Because maybe if I did that, then maybe I have the money to just say, hey, I'm not even going to mess with rolling those 20s. Let me just take my medicine and give you the money back now, because I could effectively pay for that with that premium by rolling those 15s. Guys, y'all are getting some schooling today. I hope y'all appreciate this kind of stuff, because nobody else is going to do this for you. I promise you. How do I know that? Because if they did, I wouldn't need to start this channel. I created what wasn't available on YouTube. So if I just go here and I roll this bad boy out to the 481, so I'll go over here, I'll delete the leg here, and I'll go to the 481. I'll put her right there. Now we pick up 431,000. I'm really liking this. And it's only reducing our buying power by 50,000. So that's a rounding error on the buying power. But 431, it's ours now. It would be ours now tomorrow. It would be even better if SoFi opened down a little bit tomorrow. Now we're at 900,000. Now we got legitimate fighting firepower, dry powder. Then I could be like, I want to go ahead and kick this can down the road to 35. This one would be out. All right, I could roll it out here to the 35. So now I'm like, that's very interesting, because now I'd have 5,000 contracts at the 15. So this is an obligation to buy 500,000 shares of SoFi at 15, while having an obligation to sell the shares at 35. So it would be a short strangle, 2-to-1 ratio, right? 2 puts versus 1 call. So I'd have 5,000 puts at 15 versus 2,500 calls at 35. That's a very manageable trade. So it's effectively kicking this can down the road. That's effectively what we'd be doing. And then we would have these 20s over here at 25. We would do it in a different sequence, but effectively that's what it would look like. These would now be our covered calls. So now we're like, we don't feel that bad about it. Selling the shares at 25 bucks. Bring that on, because now that's huge, right? That's an extra 1.25 million for the program. So that's selling the shares for 6.25 million. You bought them for 4.6. You were down 300 or 400,000 earlier this year. Shit, man. How do I sign up for that? Well, I'm showing you how you can sign up for that. So that's something that I might definitely consider doing with SoFi. Just want to clean up the position a little bit more to where I don't have to look at it. I found myself looking at that position a little too much, and that's a litmus test. When you find yourself having to look at the position too much, it's either too big, you just don't like your positioning. It's a good cue to fix it. It's a good cue to just fix it. So I'm looking at SoFi for in the next week or two. This is a fix it before it gets out of hand. Right now, it's okay. Right now, it's okay. It's bringing in the $8,200 in theta per day. It's okay. We got 183,000 deltas. It's okay. That's when you want to fix it. You don't want to wait till it's broken to fix it. You don't want to wait till you're thirsty to dig the well. I'm telling you, this position can get problematic for us in a big way very quickly. So I'm going to remedy that situation sooner rather than later. Let's get to Micron. Guys, this has been a turnaround story for us so far. We're down a couple mil on Micron. Now we're up almost half a mil. That's a big reason why this thing's turned around. That and Palantir. So what do we got? We got the 5,000 shares, and we got most of the shares for sale at $1,200. 54 days from now, we bought the shares for $947. That's a good business. Getting paid quite a bit of money, $143,000 for agreeing to sell the shares for a massive profit. Hey, baby, you gonna come on camera? You're good. It's not gonna catch you over there. Anyway. So we got the shares for sale at 1,200. We got an agreement to buy the shares back at 800 on the same day. So this. I feel like I should call it something else because this isn't a completion order anymore. This is a cash grab. So let me go over here. How do I advance now? Okay, this one here. This is now a cash grab because we already have the amount of shares that we want. So I need to rename the group. So what you do is you highlight the cell, then you right click it, and then you're gonna go here. I'm gonna go name the group, rename the group, and we're gonna call it a premium cash grab. There we go. So we had the premium cash grab at 800. So we got paid 151 for that. We're up 26,000. So that's going to help us to stay in the fight on these 1,200 calls. These are covered calls. And then we have a short strangle down the road, a 2-to-1 ratio, a little bit better than 2-to-1 ratio at 650 and 1,800. And then we have the crown trade. What's a crown trade? This is when if we get away with all of that stuff and it's 390 days from now, we're not even looking at it anymore because I would love to sell you the shares at 2,500. So bottom line, guys, is we're in really good shape on Micron. Micron's bringing in $17,000 in theta per day. I mean, this has been the turnaround story. This is one of the main reasons that the portfolio is back on track. BM&R. This is the other position that's finally starting to get back to good, but we have a ceiling on the trade. I got the shares for sale at 30. It's trading at 23.18. This was in the aftermarket. So if I put this last, if I change this last to ask, I don't know how to do that. Let me see if I can figure that out. Is it general? Is it positions? Is it positions? Trade price, where's ask? So it gives me last. Where's ask? There's quote last, quote this one right here. Wonder if I can move that one there. There we go. Oh, but then I lose, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Because you can see the difference right there. So what could I get rid of? Because then now I got to go over here to find my position delta. I don't like that. I don't like that. How do I, where was it? Was it this one? Okay. Maybe trade. No, I need trade price. Mark, cause, extrinsic. Delta per quantity? Maybe I don't need delta per quantity. I don't think I need that one. Let's see. Let's see if that gives me. There we go. Yeah, I don't really need delta per quantity. That works. That works. So now I've got accurate pricing here. Love it. Okay. So here's the one that I'm really considering doing something with. Probably as soon as tomorrow. I'd love for us to open red because then it would make it a little bit easier to do. But I'm thinking about giving all this is why I'm trying to raise cash. Is because I'm thinking about just closing this off. So I gotta give back 265,000. It's a double whammy because it's gonna cut into a lot of our cheese and it's gonna reduce our buying power by a quarter mil. So that would put us in that 55, 56% range probably. So that's why it's tough to do. It's tough to do. The other thing that I thought about doing this was turning this into a debit spread. So it's like you cap the amount of money that you can make, but you bring in some money. So that might be something to do as well. Turn this into a debit spread and then maybe buy like another 500 leaps and let those leaps run. So I may look at doing something like that, like right here, and then going to like to 50, maybe even 60, maybe even 70. Ooh, that's a nice debit. That's interesting. So maybe do something like that. Bring in another 214,000, but now you have a ceiling on how much money you can make. And then I have to get with Claude or whatever because I just can't do the math like real quick like that in my head. It's because I don't deal with debit spreads. So that's interesting because we paid 1.324 million for the leaps. But now instead of having an unlimited upside, if you turn it into a debit spread, you can only make the difference between the long call and the short call minus the premiums that you paid and collected. So I'd have to shoot that trade over to Claude, or if one of you nerds could help me out, that'd be great. For those of y'all that might be more familiar with debit spreads, if you can let me know exactly how much we could make if it hit the strike, like if it went up to 100, right, if you will, but we capped it off at 70. It's my understanding you make the difference between the 25 and the 70, plus or minus all the premiums, right? Whereas here, if I just take off, I give them back the 261,000. If I give them back the 261,000, and we're locking it in because if we look at the options chain, we're down 646,000 on the options collectively. I know here it says that we're only down 31,000, but it's because we got our ass kicked on leaps before. So I'm going to take y'all through the options chain. Again, this is the full transparency you only find on this channel. So early on in the venture, we started off good. 14,000, 68,000. So I was like, oh, this is easy. We're at like 80 grand, just like that. I was like, dude, I want in on this thing. This is so easy to make money over here. And so we bought Leaps. You see right there, buy to open, right above the 68,000. Buy to open. So we started buying calls, long calls, Leaps, or yeah. So we is that what we did? No, we sold covered calls at 65. This is when last October things were pumping. Sold covered calls at 70. Then we bought to close those. Sold open, buy to close, sold open, got our ass kicked, 122,000. But before that, I know we made money on the calls, 122. So look at all the money we made starting out, guys. 14,000, 68,000. Ran a successful cover call campaign, 122,000. And then tanked. Because look at the strike prices. We're at 70, 62. Then now we're over here at 35. Now we're doing it again, 91. Now 56. Got my ass kicked, 23. Made 26, 37. But then you see the million that we lost. I got cocky and I started buying Leaps. I ended up closing them out. They were $75 and it just wasn't going to pan out. These would have expired this coming January. So I was like, well, let me just get some of the money back. Because it was paying, look at that, $2,300 a contract. And then I ended up only getting back $410. So we got our ass kicked. $13.81 a share. So we lost 1.1 million there. And then we got 66, lost another 11, made 15, made 173. I felt real good about that one. This is, again, we're already running the Poor Man Cover Call campaign. And then this is what we have open right now. These are the Leaps right now. That's we're down 31,000. It checks out. It's right here, 31,000. So it's important to pull up the order chain to see where you're really at, if that makes sense. So got a lot of ground to make up. That's why I'm very, very tempted to take the lid off. But the one thing that I could do, I think, is turn it into a debit spread, put it at like 50, 60, 70, and then just go buy another 250, 500 Leaps that way. And that could be the money that we make to the upside, and that might not be so detrimental to the buying power. Kind of like the money that we're going to get for rolling these calls, I could use those monies to buy more Leaps. Something like that. We'll see. Not real sure what we could do yet. We just don't have the money. Got to raise cash. Maybe when I go fix the SoFi, maybe when I go do Clean Spark, we'll see what the buying power is at. We'll see what the cash money looks like. Maybe at that point, I don't have to do anything. I could just let those covered calls ride at 30, and I could just add 250, 500 Leaps that way. We'll see. Again, we're just spitballing ideas right now. Appreciate the 60 people rocking with me on YouTube, and there's a lot more people rocking with me on X. Appreciate you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are learning something here today, because I'm really walking y'all through some scenarios. MSTR, another turnaround story. And we're getting close, man. We're getting close on this one. Again, we're down 2 million at one point, and now we're down 113,000. We look at the options chain, though. You'll see the damage right there. You see that damage right there? 1.9 million. How? Just got my ass kicked on some cover calls and some naked calls. I just got my ass kicked all the way around. But we have an open win right here of $1 million. So that helps. And we have an open P&L of $600,000 on the shares. So if you take those two line items, the 600,000 that we're up on the shares now, 33,000 shares, and the 1.1 that we're up, even though we're not really up that much on the backstop trade, we're going to call that 1.7, right? And here we're down 1.9 on all open options, or collectively on the order chain. It shows our year to date at 113. It's because some of this stuff had happened last year on MSTR. So let's go through the order chain. And let's just kind of like, look at the ontology of this thing, right? Like, how did this happen? We got off again on the right foot, 54,000, 1,500, 17,000. So make a quick almost six figures on it. I'm like, this is easy. Another 96,000. So we're up over a couple 100,000 on this thing. I'm like, this is easy. What are y'all talking about? And then I kept going. When things are good, you press, right? And then boom. 1.87 negative, closed, realized loss of 1.87. So you take that 1.87 that we got our ass kicked on what? Backstop trade. Backstop trade. And it looks like a strangle all the way around. So I got to go back to the origin of that particular trade where we were going good until we weren't. So it looks like I was running a backstop, a strangle. I sold the puts at 275 and the calls at 500. 50 contracts. This was again in October. Everything was sanguine. Everything was just doing amazing. We were just swimming right along. So I sold this strangle at 275 and 500. And instead of taking some losses, I just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we went from 50 contracts, another 50 contracts, 50 contracts, another 50, 100. And you guys can see 200 to 400. There's a bunch of adjustments being made here. And then eventually we ran out of buying power. And we logged a loss of $1.8 million. We're going to get to it right here. And I was like, shit. Oh, my hand in a cookie jar, big, in a big, big way. So I was like, okay, we're not going to give up on it. So what are we going to do? We're going to make 21,000 and then we're going to go lose another $500,000. This was on naked calls right here. This was on naked calls right here. So I was like, shit, man. I thought I was on the climb again and then got my ass kicked again. So I was like, okay, shit, let me regroup. So 21,000, 40,000, 142,000, 38,000, 19,000, 5,000, 8,000, 22, 37. Then I got my ass kicked again on some naked calls. 131,000. And actually, this is on covered calls. I took the ceiling off. I removed the 125s because I wanted to have 165, which is what you see right here. So that's what happened there. So on that one, I wasn't, I was just like, I see the writing on the walls. I think this thing's going to run a little bit. And then I think this is going to show all the stuff that we've been dealing with and how we're open. $530,000 on the backstop trade. So I know here it shows that we're up 1.1, but here it is taking all the negative equity into consideration. So we're actually only up $530,000 on that part of the trade. So that's why we're still showing a negative right here. And on top of that, now we have all these calls that are marking against us. All right. So we have a lot of extrinsic value here. $3.7 million on MSTR. The good news is 2.8 of that million is tied to the backstop trade that now looks like the easiest money on the books, right? Keep in mind, this has been an absolute pain in the ass trade for us. We had to roll a bunch of negative equity to get to this point. So it's like now I want to make a shitload of money on MSTR because we We didn't come this far just to come this far. We didn't come this far just to try to break even. We came here because we thought we could make $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 million on MSTR. So now I feel like the opportunity is finally there. I'm glad that I made the switch to owning shares because that's been instrumental in helping us to get back to good. But now I got the shares for sale. The good news is they're covered. I have the shares for sale at 165, and we have a ladder. We got 185s, 225s, 250s, and 300s. But the good news is that it's 250 contracts versus the 330 that we could have had. So we have quite a bit of deltas right now of 27,000. So we're running better than our 50%. That's the goal, right? Or because that would be about 16,500 deltas. Right now we're at 27,000 deltas because I took that 6-figure loss on the covered calls at 125. So I was like, let me just take the medicine so I can position ourselves to be better than break even if this thing runs to 165 and I choose to deliver the shares. Because the option that I have is to deliver those shares at 165, and then I can just kick all of these out to the 300 strike and let it play out, because we would have 1,000 calls at 300 versus 1,000 puts at 1,000. So we'd have a massive strangle. And then I could kick it down the road to the 481 if I want to match it up, and it'll be like 500 strike versus 100 strike. And then I could maybe even consider adding another 1,000 puts. But then now we're getting into that territory where we're like naked strangle. That's kind of what like potentially almost blew up the account initially. So do we really want to go there? No. So that's when I was like, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to run the short call, covered call / short call ladder. So what does that mean? So the idea is I want to position ourselves to deliver the shares at 165 and start buying to cover the next rung, because over that weekend, that's going to settle. And we're going to get all of the money from the 165s, and we would immediately buy so that we have at least 25,000 shares going into the December the 18th cycle. We need to buy those shares below 185, because if not, that's a losing business model. You don't want to be buying shares at 200 to deliver them at 185. This is why I went to school. That's not good business. So that's the way that we're going to play it until we can eliminate 2 of these rungs. Once we can eliminate 2 of these rungs and we're covered, again, going into this 225 cycle, the world is our oyster, because we're gonna be covered here, and then these 250s and 300s, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. It's 2 calls versus, it's 1 call versus 2 puts. We can handle that. We can handle that. So what's the best case scenario for us right now? The best case scenario for us right now is for MSTR to chill out a little bit. For it to chill out a little bit, let some time come off the clock, a month, 2 months go by, and it still be comfortably below 165. We would be net positive, probably 6 figures on this trade by now, because $12,000 is coming off the clock on a daily basis. You got to look at the Theta Snowman right here. Minimize it right here. The 12,000 is coming off the clock right here on the daily basis. And it's chilling at like 150 2 months from now. We are in the freaking driver's seat at that point, because then I could just give the money back. I could just be like, let me take that one off. And now we're at the 185-day cycle, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rungs. So we're already matching on the puts to the calls, and we still own the shares. Because if I wanted to get rid of this rung right now, and I considered doing it last week, when we were on a couple days ago, I considered doing it. And I was like, I already took my medicine on the 125s. Let me just take my medicine right now. Here's another 200. And they didn't reduce our buying power that much. But I didn't do it. Why? Because it was going to wipe out a lot of our cash. And I was like, I don't want to go into next week doing that. Let me raise cash first before I take that rung off, because that is mission critical number one going into tomorrow. It's fixing SoFi, because this is our darling. This is our forever trade. Make no mistake about it. We only had to rock with one. SoFi's the one. Palantir's number two. In that order. Even though here recently we've made more money with Palantir, but collectively we've made more money with SoFi as a family. So SoFi's number one. Palantir's number two. So we'd only had two positions in the portfolio. I promise you it would be SoFi and Palantir. Everything else can hit the fucking bricks, pal. That's just because I know how to make money with those stocks. It's not about, oh, it's the best stock. It's about I know how to make money with it. That's because that's the objective, right? So that is what I always do. Is like, okay, cool. What stock do I know the best? That helps. That helps when things get tough. But what really helps is, do you know how to make money with that ticker? I know how to make money on that ticker better than anybody else on YouTube or X. And we got the receipts. And Ivy Rank, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I know how to make money on that ticker. That's the objective. That is the objective, is to make money. So I need to remedy that position a little bit, so I position myself to make a shitload more money. We ain't done yet. I want to go down in history as the only person that made more money on SoFi than us was fucking Anthony Noto, because, he got a shitload of salary. He got a lot of shares given to him, and not to mention, obviously, the shares that he bought as well. Can't make more money than him, but I want to be able to make more money than anybody else on fucking SoFi. And then at that point, maybe they'll give me a fucking hat, and we don't have to go sport a fake hat over there on vacation and whatnot. So anyway, so that's what's going on. That's what we're trying to figure out. So I want to be in a position to give back this money, and more importantly, we pick up another 7,600 deltas. So we pick up those deltas. That puts us at about 33,000 deltas, which is the equivalent of the 33,000 shares that we own. And now we are on just some freaking chill mode. On a melt up, this thing goes to 250. It still becomes manageable, because I just start kicking this can down the road, and I start playing the stock from behind. All the while, this premium, the 2.8 million, is making its way to the net lick, and it carries a cool 25,000 deltas. So what are the things that we could do to pick up more deltas on MSTR? Good question. Glad you asked. One is we could buy more shares, but not that many, because we haven't raised the cash yet. But that's one thing that we could do. Another thing that we can do is I can buy some leaps. I've considered buying 250 leaps on MSTR. It's another thing that we could do. So we're going to go through that exercise today and see, does the algorithm even like that idea? I'm going to give this thing time, 516 days. I'm going to buy them out of the money, because that's how I roll. I'm going to buy them at 200. And I'm going to go, we can't even afford that right now, right? So, well, let's just pretend like we can, because it's probably going to flag us unless they'll let you actually do it in margin. I don't know how it works. We never buy anything on margin, so I'm just running the scenario that we would never do, right? So let's just say I want to go middle of the road, review and send. I'm surprised that I guess it will let us do it, because they're like, oh, yeah, we'll charge you $300,000 or whatever towards margin, however that would work. So it reduces your buying power a little bit. You fork out the $750,000. You buy them out of the money at 200, and you pick up another 12,000 deltas. So 12,000 deltas. This is why a lot of people do this whenever they run these types of campaigns and they get in this situation, is because buying leaps is just a more capital efficient way to go grab your deltas. But then what are we doing? Is we're sacrificing some of our precious theta, because this thing's going to hurt us $1,186 per day, and it's going to amplify as we get closer to expiration. That's why I haven't been doing that. I've been buying shares instead. But I mean, we can't buy 12,000 deltas, right? Because I mean, just do the math. 12,000 deltas times 120 or whatever the hell the stock's going for right now. What's the stock going for? Let me clear this order. Yeah, 120, 121. I mean, it's $1.4 million. We just can't do that. We just can't do that. So it's twice as much. It's twice as much to buy 12,000 shares. The good news about 12,000 shares is they don't expire. So that's why I'm trying to raise cash, because we've already got 8,000 deltas above what is due and the 165, at the 165 strike 3 months from now. So my idea is to go raise cash by doing the Clean Spark thing, by maybe even selling more calls on SpaceX or whatever I can, maybe even potentially running a ladder on Riot, although I feel like it's peanuts. It's not going to raise enough money. I'm already doing what I can do on Enphase. I could raise quite a bit of money on SoFi, just rolling these guys over, letting the chips fall where they may here. Or if I want to fix that, I'm going to have to give some of those premiums back more likely. So I have to figure out where I could raise cash so that I could ultimately get to maybe 40,000 shares of MSTR. Because then now I'm like, oh shit, I'm just not going to stress that much about it. I'm going to deliver the shares at 165. I've already got 15,000 shares going into the next cycle. As soon as the funds settle, or that Thursday or Friday, depending on where the shares are trading. Again, this isn't going to help us on a melt up. But if it's just like steadily going up and it's trading at like, say 170 the week of expiration, and we're already sitting at 40,000 shares, I could potentially buy 10,000 shares on margin, knowing that I'm going to pay very little interest, because once the shares get delivered at 165 and that money hits our account, that's going to wipe out our margin. So that's going to cost us just literally a few $100s, maybe 1,000 in interest at the most. And now we're completely covered going into the next cycle at 185. So again, I just want to give myself some options. So what would give me the most options right now and the most upside on MSTR without just flat out taking another loss on the 165s is trying to get to like 40,000 shares of MSTR. That's the bottom line. We were in a position to do it when it was in the 90s, guys. But conviction wasn't quite there. I was pissed off at Michael Saylor like everybody else. Again, you're getting full transparency on this channel. I'm telling you guys what I was thinking, how we got in these situations, the whole enchilada, because I got nothing to hide. I got nothing to hide. This is the way the cookie crumbled, if you will. So that's what's going on with MSTR, guys. That's what's going on. Best case scenario is for it to just chill. For it to chill and let some of this time run off the clock. That would be the best case scenario. On a melt up, and I don't have enough time to do all that other stuff, I just got to go take my medicine real quick. It'll probably be at that 840 by then, maybe more. And I just got to go give back 210 grand and go pick up 7,000 deltas. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying 7,000 shares. And it's probably better, you could argue, than buying leaps, because the leaps expire. They're paying money. That's not really what we want to do. We don't want to pay premium. We want to collect premium. And so it's going to be hurting our deltas, or our thetas, I'm sorry. And I want to get the theta as high as possible. So those are the things. Nebius, premium cash grab. So I got to name this one. This is just a premium cash grab. I have zero interest in owning shares of Nebius. I couldn't even tell you who the CEO is. Premium cash grab. There we go. So again, to do that, you just highlight it, you right click it, and then it's going to say option, and then you just backspace there and you put in whatever you want to put in. So we're using this as a financing mechanism for us. It's not super capital efficient, but this is a place where I'm considering going ham. I'm considering going ham and raising cash. Excuse me. My wife's unpacking and she was asking me about some shirts that I wore. I didn't wear. I don't think I wore it. So I'm thinking about loading the boat on this premium cash grab. Like, and I'm talking about loading the boat on this premium cash grab. The thing is do I want to load it at 150? Tevez, I've already messaged Tevez. He's been covering this company for a while. He's like, dude, you're good at 150. I feel more good at like 120. But I just stay here and I could just roll down, right? I could just roll down. So I've thought about doing this right here. Doing another 150 contracts. Pick up another 305,000, but it's not like super capital efficient because it reduces our buying power by 224. So that's going to take me to my other possibility to raise cash, and that's Hood. This against a premium cash grab. No interest in going long Hood at 75. We could do it at 60, 65. I'll consider it. At 75, not interested. This is a premium cash grab. It's already gone our way, though. We're up 22%. On Nebius, whatever, however you call it, we're only up 7%. So I feel like I could add to that one, but it's about capital efficiency. On the surface, if these were cash secured puts, Nebius, I don't even know how to say the company's name, they are more capital efficient. But using portfolio margin, they're not as capital efficient. Because you can see the capital requirement there, they're asking us 353,000. On Hood, it's only 108,000. So I was like, well, shoot. Why don't I just load the boat on Hood? And I'm talking about like a really load the boat on Hood and add like 750 more contracts on Hood. Like, could that be the money that we need to finance the other operations? And then if I get caught with my hand in the cookie jar on Hood, well, it's freaking Hood. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay in my mind, right? So this is something that I've considered doing as well. The spread's like freaking huge though. But I mean, if we could get it filled, again, I don't even know if we can get it filled because we're like the whole market right there. If you look at the open interest, it's the other thing I don't like about it. It's like dollar for dollar though, man. It's even better, right? So we pick up 386,000 reduced by 324. So that, again, that's an option. And why do I like this option versus just like rolling SoFi up? Because that's another thing that I consider doing. Another thing that I consider doing is like, well, how about I roll this one up and I can stay in the fire a little bit longer, maybe even deliver the shares, because if I could sell these shares for 5 million, that gives us all the maneuverability that we need. And then in the interim, I'll just make money on the puts. So I considered rolling these up too to like, okay, hold on, shit. Let me clear all this out. This one here. I consider rolling these up to 17. Maybe even 18. I considered that too. That one's more capital efficient. You see how you get 270,000? And I pick up more deltas, right? I'd pick up a lot more deltas. And it only reduces the buying power by 151. So I'm like, if I had to let the shares go at 20, I've already picked up another, 60, 70 cents on the move by rolling up those puts. Or I could roll these puts up. This is another thing that I consider doing. Again, this is why, God dang it. This is why I like when the market's closed, you can run all these scenarios. I thought about doing this right here. I was like, let me just let it all play out and let's just be unemotional. And at the end of the day, like, let's just position ourselves to make another $3 or $4 million on SoFi. So I was like, let it play out the way that it's going to play out. The stock hasn't really moved that much. If I sell them at 20, there might be another opportunity to just buy the damn shares back at 20. We got losses on the book for the year, so we don't have to worry about $1.44 in taxes. That's kind of irrelevant right now. So I was like, why don't I just roll these up right here? Why don't I roll these up to 20? Why don't I roll those up to 20? Pick up $694,000 and only reduce our buying power by 133. We don't run the risk of early assignment. And if we're worried about these getting assigned, then we can't be really worried about the covered calls. So that's kind of an idea. And the reason that it's more appealing over here on the December the 15th, 17th cycle, 481 days from now, versus the one that expires by the end of this year, is because there's not nearly as much extrinsic value on the clock. There's not as much time value on the clock over here. So you do run the risk of that early assignment, and we don't have the money to cover that right now because that would be a shitload of money, right? $5 million. I could kind of do it somewhere in the middle and just go to the 17th cycle. But it doesn't really solve our problem. I mean, 225 is cool. It's cool. Reduces it by 55. And we could stay in the fight a little bit longer over here. And then the other thing that we could do with that money is we could just take that off. Like, depending on how the candle holds on Bitcoin today, right? Because if it goes over 81, it's going to go to 100. It's probably going to go to all-time highs again. If it closes a candle tonight at 81, I think it's like 250, or let's just call it 81,500. This thing's going to go back to all-time highs. The fucking crypto winter is over. The 4-year cycle is fucking done. Everybody was wrong. It was just a matter of time before they were going to be wrong. That's okay. But I want to be positioned to where things are good for us until 185, not 165, because that's going to give us the money that I feel like we deserve for all the pain that we went through on MSTR. So we'll see. SoFi, again, it's always my go-to move, and it just happens to be the one that just seems to be the most capital efficient because I've already walked through scenarios here. Enter Palantir. 35,000 shares. This is our tuition trade. Got our ass kicked on Google, Apple, and PayPal. Lost $2.75 million on PayPal this year after making over $1 million the last couple of years on PayPal. So it gave back all the gains and then some. So PayPal was amazing, and I turned it into PayPal by playing too large. And then there was the takeover with Stripe, I think, Stripe and all this other shit. Got her ass kicked, whipsawed. It was just bad. It was just bad. Just totally played it wrong. If I'd just stuck with the puts and never done anything on the call side, that position would have made us, well over $1 million again. But that created the tuition trade. So Palantir became the tuition trade. I was like, I'm going to go make all of the money that we lost since we've been over on Tasty Trade on Google, Apple, and PayPal, and I'm going to go make it on Palantir. So that's what we set out to do, and here we are. So we're up 1.58 on the year. On options alone, we're up 804,000. So things are going well, but we do have some calls that have, kind of going against us right now, the covered calls. So we got 35,000 shares. We got the shares for sale, not all of them, but most of them for sale at 230, 180 days from now. I think we're going to be okay. Then we got the shares for sale again at 270, 208 days from now. The shares for sale again at 330, 298 days from now. And then the shares for sale again at 400, 300 days from now. And then we got this big ass backstop trade at 120 that we rolled so many times. So this is another one that I've considered because it's Palantir. And the extrinsic value is $1.4 million. And we have pretty good success with these backstop trades. If I could find it. I'm just not sure if it was an individual, if it was part of the strangle or what, but we made a shitload of money on Palantir puts. So I've considered doing this to fund everything. Because again, the whole exercise today is where can I find the money to fund the moves that I feel like we're going to have to make? I thought about doubling the backstop trade on Palantir. I thought about doubling the backstop trade on Palantir. So I thought about doing this right here. And I put this trade on 3 or 4 times while we were on vacation. I just haven't been able to pull the trigger. But I thought about doing this right here. I thought about simply doing this. And not just doubling, more than doubling. I thought about doing this right here. Bringing in $2 million for selling a shitload of puts on Palantir because Palantir is that dude. It reduces our buying power. So it takes us up. And that's over the 60 percentile. I have to run the algorithm and all that stuff to see, but that fixes all of our cash flow problems, if you will. And we're just like, hey, Palantir, go fucking be great. We need 3, 4 earnings reports from you, and we don't need any fucking issues. We need you to go be great. Continue to be great. And I do that. And then we have money. So what do we do at that point? Nibius and Hood, thanks for playing. Here's your money back because I got to go free up $353,000 in buying power. I got to go free up $108,000 in buying power. So now the question becomes, do I feel better about Palantir at 120, 481 days from now? I know they're doing fucking amazing, but there's still that valuation concern. But they are a profitable business. They have an amazing grade A balance sheet. Or do I want to have a little bit more diversification in the portfolio and I keep the new shiny object in Nebius and I keep Hood as well? These are all the things that I ask myself. Another thing that I've considered is, what about MSTR? Because that one's worth 2.8 and it's at 100. It's got all the mojo. It's the same expiration date as Palantir. What if I ran another backstop trade or doubled down on MSTR, but maybe I didn't do it at 100, maybe I did it at 75, and that's the way that I could fix the trade. Like I've been looking for all the other ways to fix the MSTR trade so I can create, the word of the day is convexity. Want to maximize the win. Google what convexity means when it comes to investing. I want to try to maximize the win. So the thing that I've considered doing is if I double down on the backstop trade on MSTR, and if that backstop trade gets challenged, then I'm off the hook on all of these. So all of that premium's ours. The gimmies and the gotchas, baby. The gimmies and the gotchas. So let's model it because we already saw the Palantir trade. So let's model doubling or even more than doubling on the MSTR trade. And if I did this again, I'm gonna have to go scale back Micron. This backstop trade over here on Micron, I have to scale some of that. Like, you gotta be responsible, right? Because you're gonna like effectively go all in on a ticker on a backstop trade. You can't have a bunch of backstop trades everywhere else either. Because you could, in a serious drawdown, you could blow up your fucking account. You can't do that. You can't do that. So again, I'm just modeling things. We're just spitballing. It's what I do when the market's not open. I spitball a bunch of scenarios because sooner or later you're going to be in the heat of the fire again. The market's going to open, and you want to have already run all of these scenarios. That way, whenever you come down to having to make a move in the heat of the fire, you already know what the buying power effects are going to be and all that stuff. So let's just go to this MSTR trade now. And I'm like, 17 delta. There's 4,000 junkies, so it's going to fill. The bid and the ask is pretty tight. I like a lot of things about it already. Remember, the bid and the ask on Robinhood absolutely sucked. Here it's good. Even at 90, it's real good. 640 and 680. Kind of a happy medium. Oh, I don't know why I'm looking at 120. Am I on the wrong one? My bad. Hold on. My bad. I'm not. I need to be over here on MSTR. I'm sorry. We've already been going on for a while. Okay, this one's not as good, right? So we have 1,000 contracts here. Look at this copper strip, guys. Look at this, crazy, right? Look at this is fucking nuts. So those are the gimmies and the gotchas. This is your pendulum. So you're like that. This is a freaking knife. You stick it could cut you. It could cut you. So they pay you the money that they're paying you. So there's enough junkies here, though. 3.91. So I double down here. Do another 1,000 contracts. Probably pick up a shitload of deltas. I mean, do I need to even say anything? It's more capital efficient. 2.8, 794. 2.8 versus 794. Just for doubling. Something that you already believe in. Palantir. We go double our beloved Palantir. Same expiration date, right? 2.8 versus 794 on MSTR, on Palantir. 1.4 versus, I don't know what happened there. 1.1 versus 744. Now, obviously, the argument now is, Palantir is a much higher caliber company. That is an absolute fact in my mind. Valuation, I feel like we're going to argue over the same things. Valuation might be out of whack on Palantir. I 100% agree, but it is where it is. Mr. Market that's where they're pricing it. And then we can all argue that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value and all that stuff. And I agree with you, but I also feel like it's going to go to $1 million. So it's just, greater fool's theory, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it is if it happens. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. So those are the things. Those are the things that I look at on my days off, guys. I spend a lot more time looking at portfolios when the market's not on. So I have a question here by a Robert Toe that's showing up on my phone. TJ, do you hold any hedge positions against your portfolio? My portfolio is at all-time highs. I'm looking to buy some QQQ puts for insurance. My hedges are my call ladders, man. My hedges are my call ladders on SpaceX. I get 17,500 shares. What's my hedge? All of these calls. which total up to 332,000. The only difference is I got paid money to put on my hedges, if you will. I don't like to pay money for hedges. I don't like to buy puts. I don't like to buy puts. I don't like to buy puts. I'd rather sell a naked call or a cover or a call ladder, because if the stocks go down, they print. If the stocks go up, they're going to cost me money. If you'd have bought puts, that would have cost you money too. So it's just a matter of perspective. Enphase, my little hedge, 84,000, right? My extrinsic value on my calls. That's my hedge to the downside. SoFi, I got 277,000 on the covered calls. Then I sold these other, the strangle, the naked calls now. Got another 170,000 there. So I hedged to the downside there. 170,000 plus 120. So what is that? 270, 290, $290,000 I've hedged to the downside against the long shares. Micron, well, we're only up 84,000 on the shares themselves, but all the calls would be hedges, right? So got 143,000 for selling the 1200s. Got another 932,000 for selling the 1800s. And got another 236,000 for selling the 2500s. So those are all the hedges to the downside. MSTR, we got the 33,000 shares that we're finally up on, 600,000. And then all of the calls are hedges to the downside. I don't know what the hell happened there. I pushed something. All of the calls are the hedges to the downside. And then obviously the puts, they hurt us to the downside, right? Because if you have the shares and you have the short puts, those are your double whammies to the downside. On the upside, the only thing that hurts you to the upside is your short calls. But what hurts you to the downside is what's going to help you to the upside. Anyway, I hope y'all got value. My wife's starting to blow me up. I told y'all that I could stay on as long as she didn't blow me up. Hold on. Hello? Anyway, so that's the thing in a nutshell, guys. So those are all the scenarios that I run through. It is what it is. I appreciate all y'all rocking with me, man. 530 people on X. Been here for an hour. 57, 60 people rocking with me strong on YouTube. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. I don't usually ask y'all to do that, man, but hit like and subscribe and all that shit. It helps the algorithm. I think that's probably the reason that I don't go live too much, because I don't get a lot of views, because I'm 100% convinced that most of the people just want to be entertained on finance media. They don't necessarily want to learn how to make a shitload of money. I'm the channel. It's like kind of boring. I'm straightforward. I don't have a bunch of special effects or anything. I'm just like, this is what I do for a living. It's nothing glamorous, but it's, typically makes a shitload of money. I had an off year because I made mistakes. I pushed buttons that I didn't have to push. I was trying some things. I was convinced that I could make a lot of money just selling strangles, because I had already done it successfully with Palantir and SoFi. So I had to go try it with other shit and it didn't work out. So now I'm having to go make all that money back, but I didn't forget how to make money. So anyway, I hope y'all appreciate it. I got to get rocking and rolling. My wife's blowing me up. I got to go to my brother-in-law's house to pick up a suitcase that we couldn't fit in our vehicle, because we took 5 suitcases to the beach. I know. Anyway, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I appreciate you guys. TJ, the Wheel Deal, signing off. As always, guys, stay blue, stock screen. Peace out. God bless you guys.